You're listening to episode 55 of the Fed and Fearless podcast. On today's episode, we're celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the podcast with a look back over all the changes that have happened in my business and my life in the last year. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Laura Schoenfeld. I'm a registered dietitian and coach trained in functional medicine with a passion for helping women just like you ditch perfectionism and use food, fitness, and self-care to fuel your bigger God-given purpose. I believe that it's possible to achieve your biggest life-changing goals without the frustration, obsession, or negative self-talk that so many women subject themselves to every day. All you need are the right tools, the right mindset, and the faith to turn your dreams into reality. I'm here to guide you along the way. The truth is that you are so much more than a body, and I'm on a mission to help you change the way you think and act at a core beliefs level so you can transform your physical, mental, and spiritual health from the inside out. Are you ready to become fed and fearless in your pursuit of a healthy, meaningful life? Welcome to the Fed and Fearless podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fed and Fearless podcast. I'm Laura Schoenfeld. I'm your host as always, and this is a super special episode because officially, as of the day this podcast goes live, we have been doing the Fed and Fearless podcast for a year, which is crazy. The last year, as everybody knows, 2020 has been really just a year that nobody would have ever expected. And I feel like the first part of the year went really, really slow. And then all of a sudden, the second half of the year has sped up so much. And now we're in November of 2020. And I launched the Fed and Fearless podcast in November of 2019. And so much has changed since then. And I wanted to give you just a little peek into the last year for me, for the podcast, for my business, and for all the things that have been going on in my part of the world since I launched the podcast in November 2019. Now, first, I wanted to just give you a little update over what I've been doing recently. And the day that I'm recording this podcast is pretty much the day after I had a in-person mastermind retreat with a few of my mastermind members. Not everybody was able to come in person, unfortunately, with all of the travel restrictions and quarantine and all of that stuff. So we had a very small group. It was at my house and it was awesome. And it was a really great opportunity to reconnect with the women that I've been working with at least since the beginning of this year. And some of them I've been working with longer than that. And these women are other nutrition business owners who are working on growing and scaling their online business so that they can serve more people and experience the freedom in their time and finances that they want to experience as an entrepreneur. So this was the first year that I ran this mastermind, and it's been so amazing. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the value of a mastermind, and I really feel like I have so much more to share on how awesome a mastermind could be because of how great this past weekend was. Everybody that is in the mastermind is so supportive and so just generous with their knowledge, with their time, with their expertise, with their feedback. And it was really great to be able to watch the women in the group help each other almost more than I was even helping them, honestly. It was really awesome because, I do a lot of coaching, and part of the mastermind is that I'm actually coaching these women one-on-one. So a lot of times it's me helping them and me giving them feedback and giving them advice and helping them deal with challenges that come up and celebrating wins with them. And I love it, right? Like I love one-on-one stuff. I've been doing one-on-one coaching and consulting for almost 7 years now in the online space. Most of it was nutrition coaching, but now I'm moving over into the business coaching for nutritionists. And I really do love one-on-one. And this weekend really showed me that there is something that you cannot recreate in a one-on-one setting that exists in that group setting. And it was just really awesome to watch the women show up for each other, that they were they all got hot seats, which is basically an opportunity to ask a question to the group and get help with figuring something out. And I was just so impressed by how engaged everyone was, how supportive they were being, and how they were so willing to put their brilliant minds to work on the challenge that their mastermind colleague was facing. So it was great. And even the people who couldn't come live, they really got to participate quite significantly virtually, which was really awesome. I was a little admittedly nervous to see what would happen if we had a couple of people that were, zooming in from across the country, and it went even better than I was expecting. So I am pretty much like on cloud nine after this weekend, and it was a very different experience to the last mastermind retreat, which happened in February, like literally right before all the COVID craziness started happening. And that event in February was actually something that really contributed to a lot of the changes that have happened in my business this year, in my life this year. And this weekend really just confirmed how much I love serving this particular population of clients and working with these types of people who are entrepreneurs that really care about making the world a better place, really care about serving their clients at a high level, and really care about just creating a job or creating a work environment for themselves that allows them to really take care of themselves as much as they're taking care of other people. So it was awesome. I honestly could probably spend the entire podcast talking about it. I won't, because I really don't even think I can capture the experience in a podcast. You kind of had to be there. But for my clients who were there, I know that many of you told me how great the experience was, how awesome it was to come together in person, especially because for so many of them, this was the first time they've even traveled in 7 months or something like that. So it was great to be able to meet in person and to be able to connect that way, and to just have that energy that you get to experience when you're in the room with someone else that, normally you'd be meeting virtually with. So I absolutely love the events. I can't wait to run more. I really hope that COVID, does not get worse or doesn't continue to linger like this, because I've really missed live events this year. Pretty much all of the live events I would normally go to for business were canceled this year, which was obviously required and necessary, but definitely a disappointment to not have those opportunities. So this being like really the first in-person business event that I've even attended, let alone ran, since February, it was definitely really special for me. And it really reinforced the idea that I love the work I'm doing now, and I love creating that space for my entrepreneurial clients. And I just love creating that experience and being able to cultivate an environment where people can relax and feel supported and feel like they can get away from the day-to-day grind and really just have an opportunity to feel a little pampered, but also a little challenged as well. And that was definitely the feedback that I got from my clients for the weekend. So I am just super buzzed. I just loved the weekend. It was so great. And having people at my home was really awesome too. It wasn't something I had planned on earlier in the year before all this stuff happened, but I just knew it would be the safest and most controlled environment for me to have people in. So I just knew that that would be the best way to do it so that we could actually meet in person rather than forcing it to be virtual. So anyway, I just had so much fun, and I thought I would talk a little bit today, because this is the 1-year podcast anniversary, about how the last year has gone for me. And I don't really like to talk about myself a lot. Like, I'm definitely okay with talking about myself, but the purpose of this podcast is not for me to talk about myself all the time. All that said, I know that many of you like to see a little behind the scenes, or maybe are a nutrition business owner and like to know, like, what do other business owners do, or like, how do they make decisions? And so I figured this could be a little glimpse into my past year. So like I said, I'll just kind of go over a little bit of stuff that's happened both personally and professionally over the past year since we launched the podcast in November 2019. And it's stuff that definitely has, I don't want to say affected the podcast. I mean, it definitely has. I've really tried to keep this podcast consistent as far as what the purpose of the podcast is. And hopefully you guys have noticed that if you've been following along for the past couple months or even the last full year. I want this to be super valuable no matter if you have a business or not, if you're a nutritionist or not, if you're someone who just wants to learn about great nutritional strategies that also take into account mindset and spirituality and, all the other things that contribute to our health. I really want that to be what you're experiencing when you listen to this podcast. All of that said, when I started the podcast, I didn't necessarily think I was going to be talking about business a lot. I knew that I was going to be running the mastermind this year, but I looked at the business coaching and the mastermind as something that was almost like a fun, I don't want to say side project because I do put a lot of energy into my mastermind clients, but it wasn't going to be the main focus of my business necessarily until COVID hit, basically. So about a year ago, we moved to a new house in Holly Springs, North Carolina, and it was kind of this opportunity to figure out what I wanted my business to look like. I knew that I wanted a certain type of business, but I wasn't really sure exactly where I was going for 2020. I was having a lot of inner conflict about who did I really want to work with? What kind of business did I want to run? Who were my ideal clients? All of the questions that a lot of times people struggle with when they're starting their business. I was kind of having this almost reassessment period of what am I doing in my business? Do I like what I'm doing? Do I like the people I'm working with? And generally, yes, like I really do love working with people of all different backgrounds and reasons for wanting to work together and types of problems. However, I realized because of all the study and all the learning I've done in business development over the last 7+ years, I realized that not getting clear on my niche and not really having a specific problem that I was solving for clients was preventing me from taking my business to the level that it could go to. And it's not that I didn't have a successful business. I just knew I was capable of more in my business, but I realized that one of the things that was holding me back was not being clear about who I was helping, how I was helping them, what the results were that I was getting for them, and all of that important niche stuff that we have to decide when we're running an online business. So earlier in the year, I was really kind of torn because, again, I had just started this mastermind. We had 7 women join for 2020, and it was awesome. And like I said, in February, we had our first live event in Raleigh. And that was the event that, again, I had so much fun, loved it. I felt so energized by it at the end of it and really started to question, like, why isn't this something that I'm spending more time focused on if I love it so much? But I still had a lot of health clients. I obviously have been in the health space for years at this point. So there was a lot of resistance to letting any of that go for me because, again, I have a ton of knowledge. I have a lot of expertise. I have a lot of experience to help people. And so I did have a little bit of guilt associated with the idea of letting go of the health business. So up until really like April, May, I was very torn on the direction I wanted my business to go. I was putting a lot of energy into my business coaching clients and my mastermind, and I was putting a lot of energy into serving my health specific clients. And it was really tiring, honestly. Like, I'm just going to be honest about how I felt earlier in the year. It was difficult to be focusing on both. It was difficult to try to serve both at the highest capacity. And that doesn't mean that I feel like I didn't do a good job. It just meant that it didn't feel very easy. And I would definitely never say that entrepreneurship is ever going to feel like super easy. But I do come from a line of mentors that a lot of you probably heard my interview with James Wedmore. My coach, Anna Powers, is in his mastermind. I have another coach, Mel Abraham, who hopefully will jump on the podcast at some point. But he's another coach I'm working with who's also in James's mastermind. And James's philosophy is really that business should not feel very difficult because we should be in full alignment with who we're serving, how we're serving them. And it should feel almost, I don't want to say effortless, but like it should not feel like you're grinding and struggling and just, pushing a boulder up a hill every single day in your business. And there was a lot of that happening for me earlier in the year. And I think for me, a lot of it was that fear of letting go of my health business because of what I've built over the last 7 years, because of the amazing clients I've worked with. Like, I love helping people get health results. I love helping women get pregnant. Like, there's so many things that I really love about helping people get healthy. And I also felt like the business coaching was really calling me, and it was something that I felt was fully integrating the skills that I have, as well as allowing me to enjoy my work better. So again, February was really this month where I was like, okay, where am I going with my business? Maybe I can incorporate both. Maybe I can keep doing both. And I kept trying to figure out, how was I going to do both? Because again, I really didn't want to let go of the health stuff, but I was loving the business coaching, and I just was like trying to do both. And so I had the mastermind. And again, we had an amazing retreat in Raleigh at the end of February. Just totally one of the best events I've ever put on. I think this weekend that we just had the event was also an amazing event, but I just had never had that experience in my business before. And it really got my wheels turning about how I could start to offer more of these type of things as part of my business offerings. And then, as everybody knows, in March, COVID hit. Mid-March was when we really started to go into quarantine and go into shutdown mode, and everything was canceled, and, just was like a crazy couple of weeks. Nobody knew what was going on. We were hoping that it would be like a couple weeks of staying inside to quote unquote slow the spread. And so that was just this very, very unpredictable season. And really in April, I had this moment where I was just like, I just need to like pause for a second, because all of this stuff was happening in the world. I was seeing all these changes. I was seeing all the stress that my different clients were going through. And I was also seeing a lot of opportunity, which sounds kind of weird, but as an entrepreneur, I'm always looking for like, what's the opportunity here rather than what's the problem. And I like to solve problems for people. I like to help them solve problems, and I like to help them see opportunities. And I really was starting to just kind of take a step back, pause for a second, and look at the situation that was happening in our country and in our world, and say, what does this mean for my business? And what does this mean for the things I'm planning for this year? Because I do feel like a lot of entrepreneurs in 2020, a lot of people pivoted, and a lot of people changed things, and a lot of people really took stock of the way that they were operating in their lives and their businesses to say, okay, is this really what I want to be doing? And that might have been true for a lot of you. If you're not a business owner, maybe there was some stuff in your personal life that you had to take a pause from, and you were like, is this something I really want to keep doing? Is this actually something that I care about? Is this something that I want to spend my time pursuing? I know that happened in my personal life, and it definitely happened in my business. And so I had this kind of odd month of April where I don't want to say I totally paused, because I was still serving clients and still running my business, but I took almost like a planning pause to really just let the dust settle from COVID and pay attention to what was happening and make decisions based on this new situation, this new circumstance that we were all in. And I started seeing a huge opportunity to help other nutritionists with their online businesses, because all of us were being forced to work online. There's probably a lot of you that aren't nutritionists that were forced to work online. I mean, my husband's a teacher, and he's literally teaching from our dining room today. So he's teaching online. There's other people that they never saw themselves as working from home, and all of a sudden they were forced to work from home. If you were an in-person private practice dietitian, like some of my clients, my mom was and she still kind of is. I'm not exactly sure what she's doing with the online business at this stage. But she immediately had to figure out how to transition her services online. So I just really saw this massive opportunity to help other nutritionists set up a business model like the one I had set up starting in 2014, essentially. And I actually started with my mom. I started helping her transition her normal systems and normal processes that she had in her business in person. I helped her transition that to an online system, and really helped set up the business so that she could work with people online more easily. And while I was doing that, again, I just saw all these other people needing help. And I realized that having worked in my own business for over, I think it's like getting close to 7 years at this point, and also helping Chris Kresser with his business. I started working for Chris in 2012 and worked for him up until this year. So, 7 to 8 years of working to help Chris grow his business. I had a lot of experience with running and growing and scaling an online business, and realized that that experience was something that would be very valuable to other nutritionists, especially as we needed to be doing so much more online or possibly transitioning to 100% online business. So that was a really interesting moment for me because, again, just a couple months prior, I was so torn about where I wanted to go with my business, how I wanted to serve my clients, how I was going to combine my health business and do business coaching, and how that was all going to work. And I feel like I was juggling like 20 different balls, which was, definitely not easy. And then when all of this COVID stuff happened and I took a moment to pause and reflect and really think, like, what is it that I want to be doing? What do I love doing? What am I good at? What is exciting to me? And, really just go all in on that. And that's something that I teach my business coaching clients that are spreading themselves really thin, offering too many different types of services, helping too many different types of clients. When you're trying to serve too many types of people, you actually cannot serve them as well. And it's harder for you to serve them at the level you want to serve them at. So either they're not getting as good of service as you could be giving them, or you are exhausted. And I really felt like I was experiencing both. I have very, very high expectations for the work that I do. And I don't think any of my business coaching clients felt like I wasn't serving them at a high level. But now, having been through the last 5 or 6 months of totally transitioning my business, I know without a shadow of a doubt that I am serving my clients so much better now. The same clients, even in the mastermind, I know that they're having a better experience now because I've gone all in on the business coaching compared to when I was splitting business coaching with my health consulting business. So again, it was a little bit, I had to really let go of wanting to do both. And it was a little bit sad to make that decision. But honestly, with how excited I was with the business coaching and how much I was loving working with those types of clients, I just knew that I had to go in that direction. So ironically, I had a little bit of a weird launch into creating my new program called the Nutrition Business Accelerator. You guys have heard of it. If you're listening to my podcast for any length of time, we've talked about it. We just started our fall 2020 round of that a couple weeks ago, and it's going great. But basically, I had an opportunity to be an affiliate for James Wedmore for his amazing program, Business by Design. I love that program. I love him as a coach. I love everybody that's in his world. So I was absolutely excited to be an affiliate because it's very easy for me to sell James. I'm like, listen, I love it. And I really do believe that anyone who's running a business online who's a coach or a consultant would benefit from working with him, even if your business is not a nutrition business. But all of that said, I basically used some of the skills I'd learned from James and my coach, Anna, to help James launch BBD as an affiliate. I created my own launch for it where I was doing a free coaching group to go through one of his free trainings, which is all about creating a lead magnet. And I did like a full month of free coaching for people. So the coaching group itself, I thought was very valuable. And I had a lot of feedback that it was very valuable. And it was really interesting because when I was doing this free coaching group for nutrition business owners as a part of James's launch, I realized that one, I know a ton about business and I didn't realize how much more I know than the average nutrition entrepreneur. So I was, just having that confirmation that there's a lot of knowledge and skills and expertise and experience that I have in the business world that was really, really valuable to these potential, well, I shouldn't say potential clients. They had signed up for free. So they weren't paid clients, but they were people that had said yes to working with me, even in that free container. So I saw that I was really helping a lot of these people very significantly. And that actually was what inspired me to create my beta for my Nutrition Business Accelerator, or the NBA program. Now, a beta is basically when you launch a new product, you haven't created the product. You're just like, I'm going to create this with my ideal clients and it's going to be at a discount. And we're going to go through the full program together. They're going to give me feedback. They're going to help me figure out, is this working? Do I need to change anything? And they really help me design the program and maximize how effective the program is. So I saw this opportunity. Again, this is kind of the theme, seeing opportunities, even when there's challenges happening. I saw this opportunity to offer this new program to the people that were participating in that free coaching group. And I knew that, some of those people might have bought BBD, but then ended up joining NBA. And I was like, you know what? They're just going to pick what they need. I still had people that joined BBD through me and participated in the bonus coaching that I was offering for that. So I knew that this was an opportunity to really launch the new focus of my business, which was helping other nutritionists run their online business. So I pretty much fully pivoted to business coaching in May. Our first call for the NBA beta program was the first week of June. And that was, it's the end of October now. So that was like almost 4 months ago that program started. Actually, it had to be more than 4 months ago because it was a 4-month program. So it was definitely more than 4 months ago. And it was just this decision to say, I want to make things easier for myself, which is not selfish. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to serve all my clients, and it was exhausting. And I was like, I don't need to run business this way. This isn't even the ideal way to run a business. So I knew I could make it easier for myself to focus on one type of client. And as I said before, I also knew that I could serve my clients at a higher level if I really went all in on the business coaching. So I made the decision, pulled the Band-Aid off, stopped taking health clients, and really just fully went headfirst into the business coaching. And like I said, it's been probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my business. That was one of the hardest, but it's been something that just has been such a great experience. I really feel personally like I'm in my element when it comes to my skills and what I love doing, because I do think in the health space, I really do believe I was very talented in the health space for a variety of reasons, but I didn't really feel like I was tapping into the full spectrum of what I'm capable of helping people with and the kind of work I love doing, the kind of experience I like creating for my clients. And so now I feel like the work I'm doing is really, really fully tapping into my full capabilities as an entrepreneur. And it's just been really awesome. And I will say I did learn a lot about coaching other nutritionists working for Chris Kresser in his Kresser Institute. I did help him create his training program for the Kresser Institute, which is the ADAPT training. So I helped with the practitioner training and I helped with the health coach training. And I did classes and office hours and coaching for those practitioners and health coaches through the Kresser Institute. So I actually did have a lot of experience working to serve other nutritionists and healthcare providers working at the Kresser Institute. But this was really the full pivot into my own business, serving those types of clients. So it's been amazing. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I think sometimes we get a little scared to do something that feels really permanent and really, kind of like you're closing a lot of doors. And that could be in life in general. I feel like getting married, usually you're closing doors, right? You're saying, this is the person I'm going to marry and I'm not going to date anyone else and I'm not going to be with anybody else. This is my person. So you close all those other doors and go through that door. When you have kids, there's no going back. Once you're a parent, you're always a parent. And so that's closing other doors that you would be able to walk through if you didn't have kids. So that's a really big decision that a lot of people make. So, those are just kind of the more obvious examples, but maybe it's a career change, maybe it's a move. There's a lot of big decisions that we come across in life that can feel really scary because we don't know, is this going to work or is this really what I should be doing? And so I feel like this for me was a huge decision. Honestly, it felt like a bigger decision than deciding to get married to my husband. I know that sounds a little crazy, but I knew very quickly I was going to get married to my husband. So it wasn't really something I was like questioning. But this whole decision to transition my business to the business coaching model was a very challenging decision for me. So it obviously has worked out so far, and I've been loving the clients that I'm working with, loving my group program, the Nutrition Business Accelerator. It's like, I really feel very strongly that this program, the NBA, has been the culmination of all the stuff that I've learned over the past 8 years. And it's so exciting to watch the results that my clients are able to get through the program. And it's really fun to know that not only are they making more money in their business, but they're also serving people at a higher level. And I do really love knowing that I'm still having a ripple effect in the health space because I'm helping other health care providers, people that are really, highly heart-centered and want to help people and really want to serve people at a high level and are very high integrity, helping them get more productive and helping them get more clear on who they're serving and helping them serve their clients better. That to me is really exciting because now I know I can even actually have a bigger effect on the health space than if I were just to stay working with health clients. So it's definitely been really awesome. And even just seeing the testimonials from the NBA class last round really, really confirmed to me that this is what I'm meant to be doing. And it's just been so amazing to have that experience. So all of that said, now we're in October, almost November, and we're just a couple weeks into the fall 2020 round of the NBA. I'm hoping to run another round the first half of 2021. So that's the plan. Obviously, lots of stuff can happen, but that is my intention to open up another round of the program somewhere in like Q1 or Q2 of 2021, which is crazy. But it is something that now I feel so streamlined in my business. I feel so focused. I feel like I know exactly what I'm doing, exactly where I'm going, and exactly who I'm serving and the kind of things I need to create and the kind of content I need to put out there and the kind of skills I need to build. It's just taken so much weight off my shoulders to not be trying to basically run two different businesses at the same time. Now it's interesting because this was a little bit of a question in my mind because normally when you run a business, the point of having a podcast is to speak to your ideal clients. And this podcast is definitely not just for nutrition business owners. In fact, I don't think the vast majority of my listeners are nutrition business owners. So, most people might say, oh, you should like change the podcast. You should go like fully into nutrition business. And that didn't really sit well with me because one, I still like talking about health. Like it's not like I never want to talk about health again. And I still have a lot of knowledge and expertise in that area that I can have really good conversations about it. So I didn't want to just like totally trash that and just go all in on like talking about business all the time. And I actually thought that having this podcast would be a really great opportunity for me to help my business coaching clients get their message out to the world and help them talk about the kind of business and the kind of services that they offer. Because all of them, like I said, are very, very focused on helping people and being able to get their message out into the world. Even if somebody doesn't end up working with them, just getting that message out there is having a positive impact on you all as the listeners. So I figured, instead of just like totally changing the podcast and only talking about business, that I could keep it talking about health, maybe pepper in a little bit of business stuff since I just love it and I love talking about it. So I really didn't feel like I should not talk about it. Hopefully you guys are finding it interesting. But I really wanted to keep it so that we could still be talking about health and that I could bring on a variety of guest experts, but also just help my business coaching clients, like the women and men, because we do actually have men in the program now. But the people that go through the NBA program, letting them have a turn to talk about the topics that they're passionate about, to really share their message with the world on my platform, just felt like a really great way to even additionally serve the people that I'm working with in my business coaching, and also keep serving you all if you're not an entrepreneur, if you're not a nutrition business owner. I'm going to bring this all the way back to the beginning where we're talking about celebrating the 1-year podcast anniversary. And I just wanted to kind of like share with you guys where my head's at and where this podcast is going, just to kind of show you, if you are a nutrition business owner, that pivoting can work really well, and getting really focused and narrowing your niche and really going all in on one type of client can actually massively improve your business. And I would, that's what we teach in the NBA as part of our strategy. And I wanted to really just share with any listener, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, where this podcast is going, and just to kind of reestablish the purpose of the podcast. So again, my purpose with this show is still to talk about things that affect your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, your mindset, the way that you're pursuing your purpose. All of that is still incredibly important to me. And that's what we're going to keep talking about on this podcast. But there is going to be business conversation that's peppered in, and there is going to be a bigger variety of types of topics talked about, because we're not just going to be talking about like faith-based nutrition information, which never was the purpose. I always wanted to open this up to anybody that just has that really heart-centered, service-oriented message to share. But I just, I wanted to give you guys a little insight into the decisions that I'm making as a business owner and to where this podcast is heading in the future. Hopefully you'll stick with me. Obviously no offense taken if you decide that this show isn't for you. But really what you've been hearing over the last couple months is pretty consistent with where it's going, where we're going to have mostly health topics, but we're going to talk about things like current events that affect our health. We're going to be talking about business stuff that affects our pursuit of our purpose. And I'm a multi-passionate person, so I like to talk about a lot of different things, and I hope that you're enjoying the variety that you're going to be getting on this show and that you have been getting on this show. So basically, the last year has taught me a couple things. I've definitely learned that I'm very capable of pivoting and adapting when necessary or when things aren't going the way that I planned. And the reason why this is important for me, and maybe for you too, is because I tend to be a bit of a control freak. I never thought I was. And I don't know if it's just that I was oblivious to my own tendencies to be type A. I think I definitely was for a while. And I also think just like running a business kind of almost forces you to be a little type A. So it definitely enhanced my type A-ness for sure. But this year, with everything being so up in the air and so unpredictable and all of that, I just really learned that even though I like to be in control, and I try to be in control probably more often than I should, that I'm also very capable of adapting and changing, and that if things are not in control, that I can still be successful and thrive in that uncertain environment. So definitely a really good lesson for me, because again, sometimes even though I like to be fearless and I like to take risks, and I do think I'm pretty risk tolerant, I actually, will give myself credit for that. There are certain things that I get a little nervous about if I think that I'm not going to be in full control over the situation, that I may be afraid to take action towards or take a step towards. And so I do think this year has really showed me that I can handle stuff that gets thrown my way that I wasn't expecting or wasn't prepared for. And it doesn't mean it's going to look exactly the way I thought it was going to look, but I'm learning how to trust myself that I can actually adapt and pivot and, just change with the changing external circumstances. So it's interesting when you're an entrepreneur, and really, I feel like this is for anybody. I don't think you have to be an entrepreneur for this to apply. But I really think something that we have to learn as humans is the ability to combine planning and process and strategy and all the steps and habits and things that we're wanting to implement, all of the structure that we want to put into our lives. We have to learn how to combine that with flexibility and adaptability. It doesn't mean that we go on either end of the spectrum, because I think sometimes people either want to be super type A, in control of everything, nothing is adaptable. It's like you freak out if anything's not in control, or if it's different than you were expecting, or something unexpected comes up. That's obviously not a healthy way to live. But it's also, in my mind, in my perspective, it's not healthy to live in this state where you have no structure, there's no habits, there's no, I don't want to say systems, but you're just waking up and doing whatever and not really having a plan, not really having a strategy. I don't really think that's the best way to live either. And I certainly don't think it's conducive to our health if we don't have any structure in the way that we eat, in the way that we exercise, in the way that we schedule our day, in the way that we make time for rest and that kind of stuff. So again, we need to be able to combine both ends of that spectrum, where we can be intuitive and flexible and adaptable and be able to make changes on the fly, and also be able to plan out, what are we doing? What's our goals? Where are we going? What are the steps that I need to take to get there? What are the habits I need to implement on a regular basis to see that result? All of that's really, really important too. And like I said, it's very applicable to any person, essentially. I learned a lot about this from my time working with nutrition consulting clients. I promote this in my own nutrition philosophy, where we combine flexibility and adaptability and strategy and intention, right? All of that stuff combined is where I really feel like I land with my nutrition and health guidelines. And so a lot of the stuff that I talk about when it comes to health actually apply very, very well and are inspired by what I've learned about running a business. So this is like kind of my jam as far as helping people figure out a process and a strategy and to be adaptable and flexible. And that is something that I'm really applying to my business coaching clients now when it comes to the financial side of running a business. But I still want this podcast to cover that philosophy for you all and also take your spiritual and emotional mental health into consideration when we're talking about any sort of health topic. So I really do believe we need to be able to do both the intentional, strategic stuff and the flexible, adaptable stuff to be successful and to get the most out of life, both the most results and the most enjoyment and pleasure and happiness. And so again, that's really where we're going to go with this podcast and really focus on those things. We're helping you guys get nourished with food, with the right types of exercise for your body, with the right types of self-care and lifestyle strategies, and with the right mindset and the right attitude around applying those things into your life. So that's it for the year. That's been my year. I mean, there's definitely a lot of stuff that's happened. It's been a wild year, and I don't have any clue what's going to happen in 2021 with all the world and national stuff. This podcast is coming out a couple of days before the US election, which is going to be obviously very impactful to our lives in this country and I'm sure around the world. So a lot of stuff is coming down the pipeline that I'm trying not to worry about, trying to just be like, okay, well, I can't control any of that stuff. So I'm going to be ready to adapt to whatever circumstances come my way. And I also am really excited to have a much more clear vision moving forward of what are the programs that I'm offering, who are the types of clients that I'm working with, what's the purpose of this podcast, like what is the overall purpose of my business and how do we execute that purpose in the easiest and most enjoyable and most effective way possible. So that's where 2021 is going. And obviously, we still have 2 months left of 2020. So really just kind of wrapping up the year since we launched the podcast. But I am really excited for 2021 and to just see what a year of business looks like when I am so laser focused on the types of clients that I'm serving and, the way that we're serving people and the kind of results that we're helping our clients get. So all of that said, if you're still here, good and awesome. And I am very grateful for you sticking around for this little rambling conversation that I took you on. I try to be a little bit more, focused on a topic when I do these podcasts, but I kind of just felt like talking today. And so hopefully that was enjoyable and informative for you and brought value into your day. Let me know if you have any requests for the podcast. Feel free to DM me on Instagram if you're somebody who wants to hear about certain nutrition topics, or you are a nutritionist and you want to hear more about business stuff. I'm totally open to feedback and suggestions. And, because I want this to be valuable to you. I want this to be a podcast that you enjoy listening to, that you get value from, that doesn't feel like you're wasting your time, that, you really feel like it's worth subscribing to and downloading the episodes on a weekly basis. So I'm here to help you. So don't hesitate to reach out to me. I love connecting with people, especially via Instagram. It's kind of like my main way of connecting with other people at this point. But I just want to hear from you about what you're looking for with this podcast and what you'd love to hear me talk about, or if there's certain topics that you think you'd love to get my perspective on, since I know I tend to have a little bit of a unusual perspective about a lot of stuff. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of you stick around, is because I talk about things in a different way than a lot of other people do. So all of that said, I really, really appreciate you spending the last hour with me and just in general being with me over the past year, whether this is your first episode or you've been listening to all 55 of them. I just really appreciate your support, and I just am excited to see what happens with this podcast and with my business over the year of 2021. So all of that said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Feel free to reach out with any suggestions, topics, ideas, or feedback for me, and I will look forward to seeing you here next time on the Fed and Fearless podcast. Take care, everybody. Hey everyone, Laura Schoenfeld here again. As you know, I absolutely love working with women from all walks of life to help them create a purpose-filled life that they love. And over the past 2 years, I've expanded my mission to help nutrition business owners drop the hustle, and come into alignment with their ideal business goals so they can work from a sense of ease and abundance and grow their income and their impact with joy. Unlike other business coaches, I have experience in the integrative and functional medicine, health, and wellness industry. And I've heavily invested in my own online business training and mentorship to get to a place where I'm now bringing in multiple six figures of revenue on an annual basis. Would you believe that I've invested over $130,000 in my own business development and mentorship over the past 7+ years? And honestly, that's just the financial cost of growing my business. It's taken me hours and hours of testing, learning, experimenting, and lots of failing to get to the place where I am today. After all this, I can tell you one thing with absolute certainty. There's no way I would be where I am today if I had not been willing to invest in my growth and to find the incredible mentors who have helped me accelerate my business faster than I ever imagined. The truth is that running an online business can be incredibly isolating. And if you don't have the right strategy or systems in place, it can take up nearly every waking minute of your free time, which is a recipe for a major health disaster and some serious business burnout. To grow your business to six figures and beyond without destroying your physical and mental health, you need support from both a mentor and a community of people who know what it's like to run a nutrition business online, who can help you succeed faster and easier than you'd be able to on your own. And that's why I'm so excited to offer a space for you to experience joyful and profitable business growth while being surrounded and supported by other driven nutritionists on the same thrilling journey of entrepreneurship. This opportunity is my annual Mastermind. In the Mastermind, you'll create relationships that will last a lifetime and achieve results in your business that you never would have imagined for yourself. If you want to learn more about this Mastermind opportunity, go to lauraschoenfeld.com/mastermind. On that page, you'll find everything you need to know about what the Mastermind includes and how to apply for your spot. I'd love to connect with you further about the business that you're growing and how the Mastermind can help you support your goals. So go to lauraschoenfeld.com/mastermind to send in your application, and I look forward to chatting with you soon.